Good morning, it's Talking Reds. It's John Gibbons here with Fuad Hasan, and we're here to bring you all the latest Liverpool news and look ahead to the next few weeks from a Liverpool point of view, but also some exciting news, information on what the Anfield Wrap are getting up to as well. So, but first of all, it's a few days since the Southampton game, Fuad, and how are you feeling about it, or how are you feeling about the break? Because it was, one we were saying, we were looking forward to, but now it's here, it feels a little bit strange.
Yeah, definitely. I think especially after you win, those two games in a row, the Spurs game, felt good in ways because we've gone to a good side and we've won and put in a good performance, at least in big parts of that game. And then, I think that the Southampton one, you always want to end on a high, but I think the downside with ending on a high is you want more high very quickly. So it maybe does come at a good time in some aspects for Liverpool, but I think, in other ways, maybe the manager would sort of just like to keep going and to keep sort of building momentum. I think that's the thing they've all been talking about, all the players, the manager. It's about consistency, getting that back, because they know what that looks like. They've been there, they've done it, and they probably know the feeling that they all get and the collective gets when they are in that groove and in that rhythm. And you just hope that can sort of be rebuilt and re-brought in, I guess, when they come back from the internationals.
Yeah, that's the hope, isn't it? That they've got the sort of template now. It was one they went away from, and you sort of understand why, because it wasn't working. Tried a few different things. They worked for a little bit, and then very much didn't. And then we've sort of ended up back with what the team are more familiar with. And so you would imagine that will what we'll come back with, and you imagine they'll use this break, both the time away and thinking space, and also the time in Dubai to basically hone that, to say, okay, well, we know what we're about. How do we make sure we're the best version of ourselves come Boxing Day?
100%. I sort of have a bit of sympathy with the manager and the coaching staff. I think transfers are one thing, but he's brought in this new way of playing. They had a new idea at the start of the season, or at least little tweaks, and he's never really had the opportunity to probably play the people that he wants to play consistently for more than a couple of games. Injuries have come in different parts of the pitch, and they're suddenly all in one position and that sort of thing. And I think that really makes things difficult when you're trying to do something new, when you can't have that initial template and have that kind of confirmation amongst the team, amongst the squad, that, okay, this is how this looks, this is how everyone's role sort of works. So I do have sympathy in that aspect. I think the winter camp's going to be great. One thing Jurgen Klopp has always loved is winter training camps, and I'm sure he'd be really happy to have this one, especially with a lot of players that, there's quite a lot of Liverpool players who aren't going to that World Cup, and I think they will find very good use of that time. That's something that they know very well. Pep Linders talks about it all the time. So I'm sort of excited in a way to see how a Jurgen Klopp team looks like after a bit of a winter training camp, because historically they've always come back really, really strong and have really used it better than most of their opponents. Yeah,
I mean, let's hope that is the case, certainly. In terms of positives from that first chunk, I mean, there's not as many as normal from a Liverpool point of view. We're normally on a much higher point still than we are now under Jurgen Klopp, but I think, the emergence of Darwin Núñez, for me, Salah rediscovering his best form recently, and some of the younger players like Harvey Elliott, but also Carvalho, who's shown his strength. For me, they're ones that we can really point to and say, that they've really stepped up, especially recently, and also, we can expect much more from them, as the season progresses as well.
Exactly. One thing we love as fans is seeing the youth kind of emerge and getting excited about players like that and new signings as well. And I think, Darwin's taken a little bit of time, but, in the grand scheme of things, not much time at all really to start producing. And I think, like you said, with Fabio Carvalho, I'm really, really excited about him. I think he's going to be a really, really good player for Liverpool, and probably, him and Elliott are the future in terms of leading that youth and the rejuvenated Liverpool side going forward. So there's definitely been those positives. I think, getting them experience, getting them game time, and having maybe some of the lows that they've had so far this season. It's all going to help. It's all going to help build this team up. We've seen how it's affected, other players in this side over the last few years, and how it's really sort of brought that level of experience and understanding amongst them. And I think, they'll be the same. They'll be all the better for the experiences that they've gone through.
Yeah, a couple of comments to bring in here. One of them from Lee Martindale. It says, the injuries since the start of the season have had an impact on our current league position. Had we had Konate fit from the start of the season, our stats would look a lot more favourable. And I agree with that. Listen, you're always going to get some injuries, and I think we should have dealt with that with them better. But at the same time, when Konate comes back in and you see his class and you see, how how much he just makes everything better. I feel like at the back you're like, oh, I wish we'd have had him more available this season.
100%. With him, I always think back to the last game we saw him, really, that Champions League final where he was absolutely brilliant. He was probably the best Liverpool player on the day. He was so assured and really looked like he'd just sort of grown into being this Liverpool centre half next to Virgil van Dijk. And I think the manager probably, who knows, but ideally maybe he would have liked to start him from the beginning of the season and had him alongside Virg. And I think him going off to France, I think that might do him good. He hasn't played loads of football. He'll have that World Cup experience. It must be such a good feeling to get picked for that side, given the quality that they have, and he probably didn't really expect it. So I think he, if he can come back fit, which he hopefully will, because he hopefully won't be playing too much, then we can really build that consistency from the back, which has been the sort of foundation of this Liverpool side.
Absolutely. Just another comment that was going to bring in, I can't remember what it was. Someone saying, what sport should we get into for the next 6 weeks to avoid the World Cup? Well, that is up to you, to be honest with you. We are going to be doing some World Cup previews today. So me, Mo and Phil Blundell, I think I'm going to talk into Neil into doing one as well, but he doesn't know this yet, are going to be looking ahead to the World Cup. So we're going to be doing little bits of it, not absolutely loads, because we know the focus for you guys is Liverpool Football Club, and there's loads going on at the moment, what with the ownership and knock-on transfer stuff. Gutman has been on, wants to do a gut of the week throughout the World Cup. He's very insistent on it. So we're recording one of those today, which is a bit of an ownership chat, but there's knock-on effects to transfers, of course, because money and finances is the main reason this has happened. So that is all being recorded today. It's going out over the next few days. Also, the guys who did the review, the audio show, have been looking at ways of what's happened this season and their take on it, really. And so we had an idea for them to do a few video shows, because sometimes when they're explaining things, they'd love a visual, but it's an audio product, the review, so it's difficult. So we got them in on Sunday. Dan Morgan was a bit hungover, he told me, but did a valiant job. And they got the old tactics board out, and they did 3 videos, which will be going out over the next few weeks, all on Liverpool's shape, all on the changes they made, any mistakes that they feel like that Liverpool, have made tactically and things like that, and just sort of really drilled into the season so far from their point of view, and also what they expect to happen from December. I keep saying December 26th, is this City game first, isn't it? It's the 22nd. So they're going out over the next few years for Anfield Wrap video subscribers. I think the first one is tomorrow, and then over the next week or so, the next 2 will be going out as well. So here's a little taster of one of those for you to enjoy.
Goodison, as low as I am to praise Everton,
the founder,
and Napoli away,
he's our
both had a
God.
thing
Even
going
the
on.
people, they don't know him.
We were trying to do what we do. I'll move
It started
back
with
into
him.
approximately
Everything
4-4
started
shape.
with him.
But there's the 3 in attack, there's the 3 in midfield, there's the 4-3-3. But what side started to do? Napoli, I think, were the first to really do it. Napoli's average positions on the pass map is fascinating, because they win 4-1, they batter us, and practically every single one of their players average position when they pass the ball. It's only Osherman who might be a little bit further back, because what they did was they just went all the way back here. And suddenly these lads are going, well, do we press or not press? And then you've got and without being sort of critical, you've got an issue with the fact that you've tried to reinvent this position a tiny little bit. You're not quite sure there. Because if they pull all the way here, well, suddenly there's spaces. And what Napoli did really well was hit here. And Everton did it pretty well as well with Pickford. They hit 30 yards. And we didn't know whether or not we were pressing or not. Because suddenly, we said before, we started off saying, I was talking about, and Pep Linders has talked about the 3 cover 6. These 3 weren't covering 6, they were covering 3. And those 3 would get on it quick for a minute, either go back to keeper and the keeper would go that way or that way. Bang, the ball goes, and suddenly now these lads have got a problem. Do I come into here? And now suddenly, look, we're done. If you see what I mean. And that's what was happening over and over. And I think Everton couldn't do the next bit that Napoli could do. But that showed a pathway. And I think that the manager was suddenly hugely concerned, because while sides, if we've got a really aggressive line there, that's the line, the halfway line, and then we think we'll deal with everything at the back. Normally, that start, therefore, was saying, well, we compress the play into 30 yards. What opposition side started to do was, you think you've got 30 yards, we think we've got 50. Where do you go, and where are you putting your men now?
Are we in? Back in? That was all a little bit mad. Are we in? Are we on? Yeah, right, okay. Sorry about that. We have a few issues. There's 2 clips going out today. The one at the end started playing and then wouldn't stop, and then we weren't sure how long it is. But anyway, you got a little taster there of the review, lads. Do a bit of video stuff. As I say, that's going to be out over the next few weeks during this World Cup period. And it is going to be an interesting one watching it from a Liverpool point of view. 7 players go. And different things expected from each of them. You've got someone like Canate, who you feel like is more going for experience. You know, they've got so many centre-halves, so Francis done really well, you know, to get into the squad, but you fancy, you know, he's largely going to be watching. To Virgil van Dijk, who's captain of his national team, and sort of everything in between, really. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be... like you said, you got the whole range of responsibility and sort of reasons for going in a way, I guess. And yeah, I'm sort of okay with you know, a lot of them going, because, you know, we forget for these players personally how important it is. I think from Liverpool point of view, it's always like, oh, you know, you want them to go and nothing happen, obviously, and you'd rather than them not go in a lot of cases. But, you know, for them, you know, it could be for some of these players who maybe are a little bit, who have been feeling a little bit down this season, maybe with how things have gone, or a little bit, you know, just not happy really with how it's gone. It
so like Fabinho, I think, who's had a bit of a tough start to the season. You know, I don't know how much he's going to play. I think Casemiro gets picked above him, but, you know, if he comes on and has a good World Cup or Brazil win it, it does give him a real lift, and obviously Ali will be made up as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a really good example, and it might just be the case of a change of scene as well, to sort of get him back to his best, and you know, to go and dance around with his mates for a month or whatever. And yeah, I think it's going to be good for most of them. Virgil, I'm a little bit worried about, because he is going to play every game, isn't he? I guess, you know, he's used to that, and you know, he's captaining his side in a World Cup. That's what, you know, dreams are made of, I guess. So I think, you know, him coming back with some confidence as well, and keeping the level that he sort of reached towards the end of this little period would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. As I say, it's going to be an interesting one from a Liverpool point of view. There are sort of so many games. We've got these 2 Dubai friendlies thrown in there as well. If you've not seen yet, Liverpool will be playing in the Dubai Cup, I think it is called. The first game is on Sunday, December the 11th against Lyon, and then on Friday, the 16th of December, we play against AC Milan. If you are in the area, you can get tickets to go and watch those games. They are going to be open to go to, so if you're nearby to Dubai, or you just fancy a bit of winter sun, you can get over there and watch those. If not, the goals are going to be live on LFC TV as well. But throughout the World Cup, we're going to be doing lots of, you know, things here. I mentioned some of the shows. We had a little sneak preview of something we're working on at the end, but just before we talk about that, I just want to say there's loads of exciting new merchandise available on our shop as well. So if you go to the AnfieldWrap.com/shop, we've done a couple of designs with a local artist called Abigail, who's been doing some shows for us recently as well. So they've, you know, done really well. We put them on, and they're really excited. We're only selling 200 of those each, so would hurry up if you want to get stuck in to those. A couple of other designs from our in-house designer Sam on there as well, looking really good. So if you're looking for Christmas presents for yourself, because it is important to buy yourself a present, but other people as well, get to the AnfieldWrap.com/shop. There's also gift subscriptions if you want to buy them for other people as well, or you've got an auntie or uncle asking what you want and you're not sure what to say, point them to the AnfieldWrap.com/shop. Right, this Klopp documentary, we had a little taster of the taster. The trailer's gone out as well. You've been working really hard on it for the last few months. How's it been, and how excited are you to show the world the fruits of your labour?
I'm really excited, John. I think to see it take shape now and to be in a good position, I think it's great. It's something that everyone's worked really hard on, and I think it's going to be something that everyone really enjoy, because we've really kind of gone big on it. We've really gone to different places, spoken to people that haven't necessarily been spoken to before about Jurgen and about the places that he's been at. So yeah, there's going to be loads there, and I'm really excited to share it.
Yeah, absolutely. It is the biggest production the Anfield Wrap's ever done in terms of costs and scale and everything else. There's going to be 5 parts going out on video. The first one is going out for free on YouTube, and then the next 2 will be going out in December for subscribers, and then the next 2 are those in spring of next year. So 5 parts in total. Most of it's all been filmed. It's all been sort of edited and getting ready now. Everyone is really excited about it. And listen, we all love Jurgen, don't we? So the more Jurgen we can get in our lives, the better. So we're going to play a little trailer by now, but I hope you've enjoyed Talking Reds. Thanks to Fuad. Up the Reds.
The founder, he's our god. Even the people, they don't know him. Oh, Jurgen Klopp, yeah. It started with him. Everything started with him.